On Saturday, June 10th in Madison Square Garden, 18-1 Teofimo Lopez takes on 19-0 Josh Taylor in a high-stakes showdown. Let's take a deeper look at the two fighters. In the open stance matchup against Sandor Martin, Teofimo utilized primarily a lunging jab or hook with a follow-up too high or too low in order to close the distance between himself and Martin. There are many reasons this should be utilized with caution, but that I will explain later. Teo is gifted with good speed, power, and reflexes, meaning his overall athleticism allows him to get away with most things a conventional fighter would not. There are instances where certain unorthodox maneuvers can be effective. This particular one comes with inherent risk and disadvantages. The purpose behind it is to generate extra power and reach and potentially catch your opponent off guard. When Teo wasn't on the front foot trying to close the distance, he utilized inside slip counters to neutralize the jab or backhand parry counters to deal with the southpaw rear hand. While blocking the southpaw cross with your rear hand can be effective, relying solely on this defense technique may make your defense a little bit predictable. Skilled southpaw opponents may anticipate your block strategy and find ways to exploit it, such as utilizing feints, angles, or mixing up their punches, like taking the backhand cross and instead turning it into a hook. Other than the already aforementioned, Lopez would utilize a jab feint to too low or a double jab to too low as a means of closing the neutral space. The lack of having a multifaceted offense on this occasion is why most ringside reporters accuse Teofimo of being a bit one-dimensional. For Josh Taylor, he can be seen as a bit more cerebral than the young Teofimo Lopez. He applies more of a read and react approach with his use of heavy feints. Lacking the degree of athleticism to Lopez means he is also far less explosive, but this is not necessarily a bad thing, as we'll see later. When it comes to Taylor's ability to close the distance, it's usually behind a double jab straight combination, much like Teo. But what you will notice about Josh is that he chooses to be all the way in the pocket or all the way out, meaning Taylor strategizes the avoidance of mid-range 50-50 trade situations. This works in Josh Taylor's favor, as some of his best work can be found in his inside game, where he can apply a good frame game and decent head control in order to land big shots. Both of these techniques are things that you typically see out of high-level inside mastery. Both of these tools are utilized to gain control over your opponent and create advantageous positions during close quarters exchanges. They provide you with control, create opportunities for offense, and help to neutralize your opponent's attacks, all in the same. Taylor's work can also be seen in his ability to recognize the right moment to punch off of the clinch. He looks for openings or instances where the opponent may be slightly off balance, attempting to disengage or leaving themselves vulnerable, and he takes the opportunity that is given. There are definitely things that can be exploited on either end for each fighter. For Teo, for starters, I think he has to not be so reckless. Coming in square could see you end up with your face on the canvas, especially against Josh Taylor. A quick Google search of Josh Taylor knockdowns and you're guaranteed to see at least one half-step left hand that dropped an opponent. If anyone saw the Sandor Martin fight, then we all know that the southpaw lead hook was kind of a big problem, specifically when it came to the check hook. So for Teofimo Lopez, he's going to have to alter his approach and maybe apply a little bit more of a feint game this time around. Now, although Teo up to this point has gotten away with his lunging and leaping attacks due to his overall athleticism, it is not something that is advisable, and here are the many reasons. A, due to a lack of balance, reduced accuracy, telegraphing of the punch, and just overall energy expenditure, it can see you severely punished. Now, although leaving your feet and leaving yourself completely exposed is not advisable, a strong jab might be exactly what the doctor ordered for Teofimo Lopez in order to beat Josh Taylor. Josh has a tendency to keep his head right on the line and sometimes not be ready for a really snappy, kind of out of nowhere jab. Also, for someone who comes off as so cerebral, Josh Taylor has this tendency to almost fall asleep at the wheel. This is something that you cannot do against someone who is as athletic as Teofimo Lopez and who also brings as much speed and punching power as he does to the table. It could easily see you get hit by something that you would have originally avoided, but now you may be picking yourself up off the canvas. Lastly but not least, Josh Taylor does not seem to be a fan of high pressure. He will resort to just a high guard shield and be just reserved to taking the punishment. In a lot of cases, he won't even retaliate. He will resort to either stepping in and holding, or he will just hold the punches that are coming his way. Now, unless Teo changes, I think this may be a bit of a blessing for Josh Taylor. Although Teofimo Lopez is bringing in a lot more youth and exuberance, he is not one for extremely high volume. But you have to wonder, they all watch film just like we do. So what will the game plan be for Teofimo Lopez coming in? With all these things in mind, who do you have as your pick to win Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor? Please leave all the comments and your boxing talk down in the comment section below. Thank you again.